Donald and Douglas, the Scottish twins. I'll go first. Okay, Dewdrop. At a time when the Fat Controller's railway was becoming even more busy, he decided to order a goods engine from Scotland to help ease the strain. However, much to his surprise, 2 engines arrived instead. He had ordered 57646. However, its twin, 57647, also accompanied him on the trip to Sodor. The twins had conveniently lost their numbers on the way and couldn't recall them. This made things very difficult for the Fat Controller. He would need to send one of the engines home, but he didn't know which one. The decision... You go next. Oh, okay. The decision became all the more difficult when the 2 of them started working in the yard. They were able performers, but as always on Sodor, trouble would be lurking around the corner. Douglas became worried that the Fat Controller would find out it was him that was playing truant and sent him back to Scotland, where he might be withdrawn from service and scrapped. He became so preoccupied that whilst shunting coaches for Duck, he misplaced one of them in a siding which had been meant for a special service on Thomas's branch line. In order to avoid trouble, he swapped tenders with Donald and took his train instead to avoid the Fat Controller's wrath. But the Fat Controller saw right through the charade and scolded both twins severely. Your turn again. Okay. After this, a spiteful brake van decided to target Douglas. He made things very difficult when he had to take it on his trains, and Douglas got the blame. Donald put him firmly in his place, which saw better behavior for a while, until Donald had an accident himself and crashed into a signal box. James had to take over the goods work whilst Donald's tender was mended, and ended up on the receiving end of the spiteful brake van's trickery. He was so exhausted that he needed Douglas's help to see him up Gordon's Hill, where the weight of the trucks and the powerful effort from Douglas caused the rotten old brake van to fold up like an accordion and smash to pieces. Wow. The Fat Controller was in a real quandary. Both twins had performed as well as each other, and both had accidents which had tarnished their good names. But when winter came, they showed their true worth and kept the lines running, clearing snowdrifts along the main line. After their hard work, the other engines wanted them to stay too. When Percy sought this advice on the situation, Edward suggested a deputation to tell the Fat Controller something was wrong. Gordon duly appointed Percy with the honor of the position, much to poor Percy's frustration. Thankfully, Percy managed to persuade the Fat Controller to change his mind over the twins, and they were granted a reprieve and allowed to stay. From there on, Donald and Douglas became the mainstays of goods traffic on the main line and a lot of the branch lines on Sodor. However, their views on diesels were particularly tainted by their experiences they had suffered through. Before Boko arrived on the island, neither was prepared to trust or accept the friendships of the newcomers. But the experience had a more positive effect on Douglas, who never forgot the risk that Donald took for him, and repaid the favor by performing an act of heroism himself when he helped Oliver to Sodor as he tried to escape from Scrap. As a reward for his bravery, he was granted towed the brake van to run on all his goods trains. But despite their strong bond and good intentions, the twins can be very headstrong. They had a particularly big falling out when Donald hit a cart of hay derailed whilst they were double-heading a train. Neither was willing to accept the blame, and Donald goes to work with Duck instead. But an unfortunate accident in the yard forces the two engines back together, when Douglas is the only engine strong enough to pull Donald back onto the rails again. And although they are well known for being hard workers, the two are as equally known for playing jokes on other engines. They particularly enjoy teasing Percy with scary stories about naughty gnomes and monsters at Castle Lock, a joke which came back to haunt them when they became trapped by a landslide and mistook Harvey and the breakdown train's mysterious shape crossing the causeway for something more sinister. Ooh!